Welcome back to TIAA Bank Jaguars Weekend. It's the dog days of training camp.
If you ask guys about training camp, usually they can't remember training camp because it's a blur.
2 preseason games left before Kansas City comes to town. We're in the film room breaking down a change of philosophy. Plus, we highlight a Jaguar who was small in size, but only made big plays. It's the 19th best Jaguar of all time, coming up on TIAA Bank Jaguars Weekend.
This is TIAA Bank Jaguars Weekend. TIAA Bank, created to serve, built to perform. And Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com to see how much you could save.
Obviously, I've had a change of philosophy and how I approach, the preseason. But one thing I want to make sure that you understand that we go out there to win games with the players that we have on the field.
A lot of people think the preseason isn't important. For others, it's the only chance to make this game a career. Doug Marrone wants these guys to earn a roster spot one practice at a time. Hello and welcome to TIAA Bank Jaguars Weekend. I'm Ashlyn Sullivan. Training camp is when a good team can become great. The fundamentals of football are now the focus as the Jaguars prepare to make the 25th season one for the history books. There's been blood, sweat, and a few tears. It will all be worth it come September, when this stadium is packed with fans ready to turn the page to a new season in Duval.
A new season always brings change and excitement.
Hey, Flip, I can play receiver now.
To say Jacksonville is excited about their new quarterback is an understatement. Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles has already won the respect of the locker room and the head coach.
Couldn't be happier. We're still going to have to go out there and perform. We understand that, but he knows what he wants to do. He knows, how to deliver the football.
Nick Foles' career is an impressive story. However, the way he treats people might be the most impressive chapter.
Nick cares about people and outside the building. So, he's going to be the guy that asks you about your kids, asks you about your family, how's your day going, and genuinely means it.
Nick Foles has the chance to write his own fairy tale, becoming the franchise-defining quarterback Duval has been searching for.
Whenever you get to, run an offense that you really enjoy and you get to have a lot of say in, what quarterback wouldn't love that? But, it's really just about the people that you get to do it with. And, this team's really been bonding every single day.
Nick Foles enjoying his time in Duval so far, joined now by Brian Sexton and John Ogier. We know Nick Foles has made an immediate impact since he's been here, but what else has stood out about him?
Well, I think the consistency, the calmness that he brings, the accuracy. So far, and he hasn't played any preseason games yet and maybe won't, so far he looks the part of what you wanted. It looks like he's going to help not only the receivers, but help the calmness in the huddle. Tony Dungy, former Colts head coach, was in town the other day. I talked to him about it. He had the Eagles during their Super Bowl run, was really impressed with Foles for all those reasons. Yeah. He thinks he's going to be a huge asset.
Well, and you're dealing with all the solid concrete football things. Mm-hmm. Dungy's also a man of great faith, mm-hmm. and Nick Foles is too. He sat during one of our television production meetings, Schlin, and I know you were there, mm-hmm. and he talked about how his role wasn't just to throw the touchdown pass, although that's what he's getting paid for. Mm-hmm. His role is to make everyone around him better. Right. And it's not just, I'm going to throw a better ball or I'm going to be in the pocket where I belong. It's I'm going to get to know you and I'm going to know what your strengths are and how you want to be better and how I can make you better. It's sort of a whole man thing. You don't hear that much mm-hmm. about from football players or coaches anymore. Oh, they talk about it in the offseason, not during the season. He's got a special quality about him, and I really am interested in it.
John, you mentioned it. He makes the wide receivers around mm-hmm. him better. And it seems like Chris Connolly has emerged as his kind of go-to guy. Mm-hmm. But what else do we think of that group, a relatively young group?
I think it's going to be intriguing to see how they get open on the deep pass. And it's been mentioned a few times by these guys. Keenan McCardell thinks they're going to be able to get open deep. That hasn't been a big element in their offense in recent years. Foles makes the deep ball look a lot more routine than Blake did. They've been able to do it in practice and against the Ravens. If they can do that, boy, what else does it open up?
Well, and I think that his skill is he understands everyone's strength. So mm-hmm. D.D. Westbrook is a run, right, a catch and run guy, and we've seen his success. I think Keelan Cole will be a much more effective, consistent receiver because the ball will always be where it's supposed to, or at least 70% of the time, where it was rarely with Blake Bortles. I think he will play to their strengths and make them better. And then I think it'll be a snowball effect because Fournette will be more effective, which will set up play action, which will open up the receivers. I think it's got a compounding effect. I'm eager to see it.
All good things.
Yeah, I think so.
So far.
Yeah.
Nick Foles making the whole offense better. Stay tuned. More Jaguars Weekend to come.
Still to come on TIAA Bank Jaguars Weekend. Doug Marrone is cautious with his starters. He's making sure they're ready for Week 1 and the Kansas City Chiefs. Coming up, Marrone shares his plan to keep the Jaguars healthy. And we reveal the 19th best Jaguar of all time.
There's a method behind the madness, so we trust that. But y'all seen practice. We're competing every single play. We're pushing through, we're grinding through, we're playing at game speed, we're talking through it, and we're working to get better.
The Jaguars didn't just get the injury bug last season. It was more so the injury plague. Almost all fingers pointed towards those injuries being a key contributor to a 5-11 season. Welcome back to TIAA Bank Jaguars Weekend. The Jaguars finished last year with 16 players on injured reserve. Doug Marrone has changed his preseason philosophy and hopes it'll keep his team healthy. Find out more about Marrone's philosophy with Jeff Lageman in the Cadillac Film Room.
Boy, Doug, a lot's been talked about over the last couple games because you've had a change of philosophy this year with the amount of playing time your starters have gotten in the first 2 preseason games. Boy, but I'm watching practice. Your starters are getting a ton of reps in practice.
Yeah, I think I probably could have done a better job, with the public telling them, what we're doing. We have had a change in philosophy, and wanted to keep our players healthy. That looking at it when we were going into these preseason games, we really were looking at 10 plays for the first preseason game, 20 plays for the second. And I started to think to myself, well, in order to do that, we're resting them before, then the day of, they're really not doing much because they have to play, and then they're off the next day. So what I wanted to do is again, change the practice schedule where our players normally in the preseason, they're getting 24 to 30 reps a practice. Now our players, our first teamers are getting, close to 48 plays, 50 plays in a practice. So, at the end, I'm looking at, we're going to get a ton of work done together, doing things more so than just going out there for those 10, really 30 plays, because at the end of the day, I know who can tackle. I know who can, make the plays under the lights. So, again, we're just trying to see if this is something that's going to help us as we get ready for the season and come into the season from a physical standpoint a whole lot fresher than maybe what happened last year.
Well, you keep your starters on a controlled tempo in practice, probably less suspect injury. But now you're getting ready to go into preseason game number 3. Things change in preseason game number 3 because you change the schedule, and also you're going to change your philosophy here in this game, aren't you?
Absolutely, Jeff. So basically it changes, like you said, going into the 3rd preseason game. We're going to go into, we break camp, so we've broken camp now, and now we're going into our in-season schedule. So we're going to practice at the exact time, the exact way we would to get ready for the games that we normally play on Sunday. And what's going to happen, for our players is they're going to come in and we're going to actually install a game plan, which we haven't done in any of the preseason games. So we'll install a game plan. So now we'll get the reps from the players and make sure they're very comfortable, they're used to the schedule. And then this game, we'll actually go out there and our starters will take the field.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Getting a chance to see the start. How many reps ballpark for the starters?
Yeah, I think it all depends on each one. But, we're going to go out there and play. We're going to play football and get them out there. And, they'll be ready because this week, now the repetitions come back down. Now the repetitions are like they are during the year. And we just want to make sure that they're ready and they understand the schedule and they can go out there as a team, which I think is important, to go out there together and be ready to play this game.
All right, thank you, Doug.
Great, thank you, Jeff.
Injuries are a part of the game, but Doug Marrone hopes this new plan will keep his guys playing at a high level all season long. Current Jaguars linebacker Myles Jack is taking on a big role this season. It would be in Myles' best interest to take notes from a former great Jags linebacker. He's the 19th best Jaguar of all time, Mike Peterson.
The Jaguars All 25, presented by Sharpie.
Number 19, Mike Peterson.
Short, undersized, knock your head off football player.
Linebacker Mike Peterson may have been short in stature, but he was a giant on the football field.
Green is hit, and sacked, the ball is free, and sacked by Mike Peterson at the 42.
After a 4-year stint in Indianapolis, Peterson signed with the Jaguars in 2003, and his career took off.
Manning turns and throws, and it's intercepted by Mike Peterson.
Indy parted ways when they said, we're going to try to move on and find another linebacker. He comes to Jacksonville, and he's just fantastic for 6 years.
Everybody has regrets in free agency. You're going to pay a lot of money. He's not one of them. They got every penny of his worth they could get. Whatever they spent on him, they got more back.
Peterson collected over 540 tackles during his 78 games with the Jaguars and was named second-team All-Pro in 2005.
Looking down, he's under pressure, hit again! And Mike Peterson sacks him at midfield!
Peterson's passion for pro football was on display every time he put on a Jaguars uniform.
He had that sort of always on in the locker room, on the field, after practice, in the off season. You never felt like he was relaxed. Fires a pass, intercepted, Peterson's got it!
One of my all-time favorite players. He was a pro's pro. He was a sports writer's, a beat man's dream.
That pro's pro mentality rubbed off on his teammates.
I love it, baby! I love it!
Peterson wasn't shy about letting his teammates know what he thought.
It ain't on nobody, ain't no pointing fingers to everybody. One person felt everybody should be on him like, damn, my bad, dog, my bad.
He was unafraid to tell you how he felt, tell the opponent how he felt, and he, most often than not, he backed up everything he said.
Held his teammates accountable. Before that was a big word. Mike Pete was the guy who said, you didn't do your job. And he'd call out Clint Ingram. He'd get in John Henderson's face.
Despite all the talking, Peterson didn't get noticed much outside of Jacksonville.
He never really got the due he deserved. I mean, over 100 tackles a year production. He was really a very productive player.
He won't be overlooked on this list.
Turns and fires, and it is intercepted. Mike Peterson's got it. It's intercepted. Mike Peterson's got it. He's on the run to the outside. He's going to the 10. He's at the 5. Touchdown. Touchdown, Mike Peterson.
Mike Peterson is the 19th best Jaguar of all time.
There's more to come on TIAA Bank Jaguars Weekend. Up next, we go bowling with the mayor of Saxonville and head to the kitchen with JaJuan Smith.
It's Calais Campbell. You know what? Y'all seen his work. Y'all seen what he's been doing for the last 10 plus years. So having a guy like that wants to teach me and that needs me, man, it's obvious. I'm gonna listen to anything he tells me to do.
Any rookie could only hope to have a career like 11-year All-Pro Calais Campbell. If Josh Allen continues to follow in Calais' footsteps, he will make a major mark on this league. Welcome back to TIAA Bank Jaguars Weekend. The Jaguars are more active in the community during the season when they aren't vacationing and training. This off-season, vacations didn't stop Calais Campbell from giving back to Jacksonville. This Baptist Health feature brings us to the bowling alley, where Calais Campbell spent an afternoon with the Ronald McDonald House of Jacksonville.
We're here at main event today for the second annual CRC Foundation bowling event. Get a bunch of people in the community come out and help and team up with us, so we can do some great things in the community.
To give back, I think that's the most selfless thing you can do. And what Calais is doing tonight, I think is huge, because not only is it giving back, but it's bringing the whole city of Jacksonville together. And it's for a good cause. So I think the moral of the story is give back. And, you know what I mean? You'll receive your blessings tenfold.
So I got a special surprise that I'm going to give away a portion of the proceeds tonight to Ronald McDonald House. So I want to call them on.
Calais has got always this big things for the community. and for anybody off the field and stuff like that. So come out and support him. Anything he does is always going towards a good cause.
Thank you guys for coming out, hanging out with me, man. It's been a pleasure.
An off-season well spent for the mayor of Jacksonville. Let's make our way to the kitchen with defensive end JaJuan Smith. This week we're cooking chicken wings and Tico's cooking with the Jags.
Welcome to Cooking with the Jaguars, fueled by Tico People's Gas. I have Jaguars player JaJuan Smith here with me today. I'm Chef Tony from the Publix Aprons Cooking School, and we are focusing on tailgate food. I want to hear from you, right? What's one of your number one tailgate food items?
One of my number one tailgate food items are definitely wings, and one of my favorite sauces is definitely sweet Thai chili. I'm looking for a little bit of sweet and a little bit of spicy. So.
All right, would you like the sweet better or the spicy better?
I would definitely say the sweet a little bit more, because I also like honey barbecue too. So I mean that's like my second flavor.
Right.
So I'm riding a little bit more on the sweet side. So.
All right, so if we were to think of some heat, what kind of spices would you use to maybe put some heat in some things?
I would say a little bit of cayenne pepper, like we're using today. A little bit of hot sauce. Definitely use red hot sauce a lot when it comes to my chicken wings. So, I mean, like a little bit of heat, but not too much.
This was inspired by a couple of dishes that we've made in class. One of them is called a Dora Wat.
Dora Wat. What exactly is a Dora Wat?
I'm glad you asked that question. What it is, it's a African-based chicken stew, and it starts with a bear paste, and we're going to show how that really sticks to that wing and how we make that happen. All right?
All right. Excited. Let's go.
You'll grab that bear paste and put it in there.
Okay.
Just put all of it in there for me.
Got it.
Oh, yeah, and then stir it around a little bit. You're going to start smelling the spices coming up too.
Yeah, I'm definitely smelling.
Now, what's key to this, right, in natural gas, is this even heating that's going on in this pan, which provides an even toasting of all those spices. All right, we open that the tomato sauce and put some of that in there for me too. Just a big heavy squeeze. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got some hard-boiled eggs as well.
Throw them in there too?
Yeah, put everything in.
Everything in.
Everything in.
All right.
Now look, we are almost there. There's some chicken stock next to you. If you'll open that up, we're gonna pour 1/4 of a cup in that. So mix them around a little bit and then put the lid on it. So we'll let these cook for about 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then we'll come back and take them out, chill them, then we'll go back into our fryer and then we'll finish that sauce off and toss them.
Download this recipe and find out more information about natural gas and available energy conservation rebates at peoplesgas.com/cooking.
There's more to come on TIAA Bank Jaguars Weekend. The road to the regular season is next.
Jaguars Weekend is presented in part by TIAA Bank, created to serve, built to perform. And Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com to see how much you could save.
You know, obviously injuries has been a big thing. We do have one change, which we're excited about. Obviously, Cam Robinson is going to be off of PUP. He'll be out there on the practice field.
Cam Robinson back at practice at left tackle. When he'll be ready to go in games we're unsure of. Joined again by Brian and John. That left tackle spot, having Cam Robinson back, how big of a deal is that?
Well, it's going to be a big deal as long as he continues to improve. There was talk early last year that he wasn't quite making the improvements he needed to off of his rookie year. To me, now we're into the second part of this storyline. Cam's back. I don't know about the opener. You hope for the opener, but certainly early in the season. Now, can he get to the point that he needs to get to?
Well, you have two young tackles in Robinson and Jawan Taylor. You'd like to start establishing them. If Cam Robinson is playing, you have depth. If he's starting, that means Cedric Ogbuehi, who's had a nice camp and Doug has expressed some admiration and confidence in. If he's starting, then Leonard Wester is next. But if Ogbuehi's the swing, then you feel pretty good about where you're at. He gives you the ability to have depth.
If healthy, this is a good offensive line.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think so too.
All right, that wraps up our show for Jaguars Weekend. Stay tuned in a couple of weeks. We'll wrap up the Jaguars preseason.
Hip down, hip down, hip down. Hang out! Set go! Get out! Shoot! There you go, good.
Hey, this is that 2-huddle 7-on-7, all right, in Mach 3.
Down, ready, set go. Good, there we come on, Lyndon. Use some athletic ability, baby. Hands, come on. Get around it, get back on the line. Front to back, and then finish it on the tackle right there. There you go. Ah!